I remember playing Far Cry 3 when it first came out. I was so enthralled by it, I 100%ed that version of the game, and now that I got Ubisoft Plus for 1 month to play Assassin's Creed Shadows, I decided to dive into the classic edition of this game. I 100%ed this version as well, and it's still difficult to imagine that this is the same company that made Skull and Bones. So let's discuss if Far Cry 3 is still worth playing even to this day. The narrative stars Jason Brody, a young, rich, and privileged kid who, with his friends, girlfriend, and 2 brothers, are captured by dangerous pirates after landing on what should have been an isolated island during a skydiving trip. Now being ransomed by the leaders Voss and Hoyt, Jason, with the help of his brother Grant, escapes captivity shortly after Grant is killed by Voss and Jason escapes, beginning his journey that will change him forever. Far Cry 3 isn't just an action-adventure first-person shooter. It's a profound journey where Jason goes from a wealthy guy growing up with first-world problems without a purpose and constantly going from one job to the next into a pure killer. Jason starts meek, completely overwhelmed after accidentally killing a pirate, and even overwhelmed when his brother escapes with him from Voss's camp, but slowly starts to give in to the bloodlust. At first, it's necessary to save his friends, but eventually Jason learns to like it, even desire it. The training Jason undergoes with the natives helps him take control of his own life, but at the cost of his humanity, constantly needing to kill more and more people to keep that rush going. We can actively see this change from Jason's friends who increasingly become uncomfortable with him. In this scene, Jason tells Daisy, Grant's girlfriend, how killing feels like winning to her, responding with confusion and fear from Jason's actions, and how he's literally becoming so enthralled with killing. I mean, Jason literally goes through a type of rebirth process where he climbs out of a pile of corpses after surviving a point-blank shot to the chest through sheer luck, and after that completely gives in to this new identity. What makes Jason such an incredible protagonist is his willingness to be used. Despite stating that the mass slaughter is allowing him to take control of his own life, everything Jason does is for someone else. He wants to be led, saving his friends thanks to the guidance of people like Dennis, and fighting people like Voss and Hoyt for another character named Citra. The only real decision comes at the end of the game where Jason decides for himself to either stop killing or completely give in to Citra, who happens to lead to natives in this campaign against Voss and Hoyt, but is just as deranged as anyone else in this game. The antagonists complement this growing sense of insanity. Voss, an incredibly popular character within gaming, leads to pirates, killing his way to the top after being betrayed by his sister Citra. Voss is the very definition of insanity. Prideful, sadistic, and without mercy, Voss's performance is extraordinary as he plays the part in Jason's transformation. In a way, he also tries to save him from himself and following down the same path he did, although he still wants him dead. Voss tends to steal the show, but the main antagonist of the game is Hoyt. Hoyt is the head boss of the slave trade and drug operations on the island and believes that all the weak only live to serve the strong, a system where everyone serves those in power without question. Not to mention Citra, Voss's sister, who gives Jason the power to fight back as her own brand of pure insanity governed by control through pure strength and sadism. The game just feels real in a lot of ways by removing the rules that many people like Jason and his friends survive on, replacing them with suffering and brutality. Instead of going down the route of having safe characters with no real drama that has become a curse in modern gaming, all these characters have realistic problems and issues. Considering how much AAA games have become stale, especially Ubisoft, and avoid writing characters like this out of fear of offending, it's hard to believe that this is the same company that still creates characters like this. The finality brings everything full circle, with 2 endings where Jason either gives in entirely to his bloodlust and Citra, or attempts to walk away from it while still carrying the jungle within him. What really sells the entire story is the exceptional character models and animations that still hold up to this day. It's so hard to believe that this game came out over a decade ago, but somehow easily overshadows any modern day Ubisoft game in just choreography alone. Everyone is reacting to the situation at hand, background characters are doing something to give the scene more energy, and it's generally a massive improvement to other titles that came out in the last year. I mean, this is extraordinarily amazing and vastly superior to Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that's saying something. Playing this really highlights how much things have gone backwards, from story quality to just overall passion. Just generally look around at the cutscene and you can see all the character models trying to react to whatever is happening on screen at that moment. Even Jason, despite us not looking at the character, can see his hands moving, his face moving based on the camera's position. It's really well done. Far Cry 3's gameplay has not aged well and highlights how little Ubisoft has innovated throughout the years. Despite being nearly a decade old, many mechanics here have become staples across all Ubisoft games. Climbing towers to reveal the map, which has become a meme since the inception of this, repetitive bases with the same enemies, and tedious side objectives. The difference here is that it complements the overall narrative, so it makes sense, instead of other games like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Even the most recent Far Cry games all use these methods without any type of complementary system. At the start, Jason is weak, but as he gains new abilities and weapons that changes him, Jason goes from a novice to a killing machine that can take down soldiers and mercenaries with years of experience with ease, and even gets excitement out of it. Yeah, this is a basic system within gaming. You're gaining more skills as you progress throughout the game, but taken into the context of the game's narrative, Jason is not only enjoying this, but he's becoming more fit to doing this than anyone else on the island. He wants to kill, not just for the money like the soldiers or self-defense for any of the other warriors who are native to the island. He seeks this out. Unlike other Ubisoft games, this system works to highlight Jason's fall into madness and violence. Still, all the bases operate the same, with the player fighting the same enemies in the same situations, only in different layouts. Yes, the pirates are a lot more aggressive and not as coordinated as the later enemies, but you still kill all the targets, and if the enemies use the alarm, you'll fight more enemies, and you'll just do that over and over. Each base serves as a fast travel station and reduces the amount of hostile enemies in the overworld map, so you're encouraged to do it. You also can find stores for refilling supplies and selling valuables, so that's also encouraged. They even sell maps that show you where all the collectibles are located, before Ubisoft started charging players real money for it. Beating bases also unlocks side missions in local areas, but these are completely optional and usually you'll forget about them because they don't really matter that much. There are also races, supply runs where you go through time trials in order to deliver a package to a certain area, so there's a lot of optional objectives throughout this game, and if you complete all the bases, you can decide to reset the entire map and do the bases all over again with harder enemies. This is purely for skill challenges if you want it. Still, the gameplay has not aged well. The experience system is basic, with Jason gaining access to skill points that add new abilities and increase your skill pool. You cannot just unlock everything, and some skills require you to complete challenges or the story in order to progress. And again, this also complements the narrative. You see, the more skills that Jason obtains, the more the tattoo on his left arm starts to grow, completing his journey to becoming a warrior. By the end of the game, this should be entirely filled out and shows Jason's transformation from before and now after becoming a warrior. Jason can also increase how many weapons he can hold, ammo count, raw resources, medical supplies by hunting animals and using their resources in order to increase your supply cache. The wildlife won't just wait for you, they actively play a role in the environment, with predators going after humans and wildlife and the herbivores running away from you on sight. You can tag enemies and animals using your camera for easier tracking, but it shows how alive this entire world is. Everything is actively playing a part in some way or another. Jason does have access to tools such as a large selection of weapons, a repair tool for repairing vehicles, but often I would just find a new vehicle instead of wasting my time to repair it. Plus, it does take up a slot, so you can only carry 4 weapons maximum when it comes to weapons and tools, and 4 throwables, which include grenades, molotovs, C4, and a rock used for distracting enemies. You'll gain new weapons by either purchasing them directly from the store or by completing towers and bases. This includes handguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and so on. You can customize certain weapons with attachments, with some weapons only having access to 1 attachment or 2, along with camos for cosmetic flair. You're encouraged to use stealth more than direct combat, with some missions requiring complete stealth. Jason is a glass cannon and can't even take that many hits even with body armor. Unless you upgrade enough to unlock the powerful drug options and hence defense and offense, stealth is going to be strongly encouraged. Now, stealth itself is basic enough. You'll avoid line of sight and attack enemies from behind with melee takedowns or silent weapons like bows or a silent handgun. Jason does gain access to insane stealth kills like multi-takedowns and underwater kills that become more brutal as you progress through the game to showcase how savage Jason is getting with his destruction. The game is separated into two islands. The first is mostly forest and large hills, and you're going to get really annoyed about this because there are a lot of hills and you can't climb up them like you would do in Skyrim, so be prepared to walk around a lot of these hills. And since there's no waypoint when you want to get to a certain marker, you're going to have to find your way across the map yourself. The settlements are mostly small towns made of scrap metal and scrap wood that are barely holding together. This complements Voss's personality, as he was raised to respect the jungle, and despite leaving his people behind, still does in a way. The second island has been cleared out with large plains and easier traveling, a reflection of Hoyt, who values progress above everything. You can still drive, but the traction is very weak and it takes a lot of learning in order to get used to the driving system in this game. Most players will likely stick to running, especially after getting the sprint booster, which allows you to run insane amounts of speed and even allows you to climb up steep slopes. In fact, the game has an array of drugs that you can cultivate using the various leaves you'll find on the island. In fact, drugs play a huge role within Far Cry, with a lot of missions dealing with Jason going through very trippy episodes. Jason does gain access to a wingsuit during the halfway point of the game, and this makes travel a lot easier, especially with the parachute. However, if you hit the ground with the wingsuit, instead of automatically deploying the parachute, you just die instantly regardless of how fast you're going or how long you've deployed the wingsuit. So you have to get used to that. It's a great option, but it's a little fickle to use. Boats are also available, but serve little purpose outside from very exact situations or traveling on the water. The most exciting part of Far Cry 3's gameplay is the knife fights. These are exclusive to main villains within the game and are just QTE battles, but they are absolutely amazing. The sheer amount of energy in each of this highlights the intensity of all the encounters. Most importantly, they show how far Jason has fallen. They become these kind of trippy drug episodes where Jason doesn't even know what the heck is going on, and you only see the fruits of what he's done after the entire episode has dissolved himself and he comes back to reality. It's absolutely insane. If you're playing this game, I highly recommend you look around after these night fights because it showcases a very different image of what Jason was dealing with. This version of the game does include all the DLC released. This includes the OP weapons and the 3 exclusive pre-order missions, with one of them confirming that Far Cry and Assassin's Creed takes place in the same universe. I mean, a lot of us already know this. It's been a running theme that Ubisoft has combined all their franchises into one cinematic universe. Watch Dogs, Ghost Recon, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed, with Abstergo usually serving as the bridge point for all of these games. However, there is no new content or additions to this version of the game. I would have preferred if they added new voice lines to the enemies, since they all say the same thing over and over and does get repetitive, but overall the complete package is here and it's well done in what it delivers. Now, I just want to mention this because it's a 10 out of 10, but the sound design in this game is absolutely incredible. The voice acting, musical score, the weapon effects, everything about this game sounds absolutely amazing. Again, it just shocks me that this game is 10 years old and yet it sounds better than most modern day Ubisoft release, heck, most modern day AAA games. Like, how far have we gone that a game that released on the Xbox 360, even though this is supposed to be a modern version of the game, sounds better than most games that you released during this year? This sounds better than Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know I'm harping on that game a lot, but it just really shocks me that this game is of better quality than what is supposed to be their flagship franchise and latest installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise. It boggles my mind. There's a reason Far Cry 3 is often considered one of Ubisoft's best games. Even a decade-old Jason Brody's transformation into a monster warrior is discussed among gamers in various different video essays. Voss is the definition of insanity. Speech remains an icon, and overall the experience just gives you something you would never get from a modern day experience. It highlights one of humanity's greatest and scariest qualities. The more you do something, the easier it gets, or how getting used to things and becoming just complicit in your life can lead to you losing yourself in a very profound way. The gameplay doesn't hold up as well, and having to clear dozens of bases and towers over and over again definitely shoots its replay value, but the overall narrative of Far Cry 3 holds up even to this day. It is an exceptional game from start to finish, and if you've never played this, you've got to experience this game at least once. Just bullet through the bases and tedious gameplays and dated mechanics, but dear God, this story is something that you need to experience for yourself.
It's like water under the bridge. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Oh, Jesus. No, no, no. Oh, fuck you!